Ooh, baby, the day after the State of the Union in the United States. Geez, what a surprise. The way people are acting, the way people are responding. But that's not today's topic, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to even bother going into that. Really don't want to dive into, once again, the divide that is the United States. Instead, what I wanted to focus on today, going solo today, as Stuart is away for the next week. Once again, hate just seems to rear its ugly head, especially towards Jews. And it doesn't even matter what the topic is. What we're seeing in everyday circles is Jews are always at fault. Doesn't make a difference. And facts do not matter. And today I'm just going to take a couple of minutes and I'm going to get into some of that and to explain to you a little bit of what's going on in our circle. And if you're Jewish, you may know this. If you're Jewish and you don't think it affects you, wake up. And if you're not Jewish, this is a massive wake-up call about what is happening in your community and how it can impact you. So, what am I talking about? So, if we remember, October 7th, 2023, Hamas invades Israel with a whole slew of Palestinian supporters, slaughters 1,200 people. You've heard this from me a number of times. And the reason I bring it up is because the world has decided that it is no longer relevant. That when it comes up to the war in Gaza, 1,200 people killed, and I'm saying people because they were Jewish, Muslim, Druze, Thai workers, you name it. It doesn't matter. They don't count anymore. The only thing that counted was what Israel did to Palestinians. What the world blamed Israel for. What many accused Israel of. That's all that mattered. And the spotlight, the finger pointing, everything was on Israel. All the while, in other countries, in Africa, Iran, in China, in other markets, worse transgressions were occurring. Did not matter. Because no Jews, no news. And so when we look back now at the last 2 years plus, here's what's crazy. Hamas, was publishing numbers. And at the beginning of the war, at the very least, the media said the Gaza health ministry, Hamas's controlled health ministry. And as the numbers continued to grow based on whatever number Hamas published, the media eventually stopped saying it was Hamas and completely neglected the fact to even check to see what these numbers were all about. Whatever Hamas said, whatever the number was, the parroted media published it, which led to accusations of genocide, which of course led to then to ICC, the International Court of Justice, and so on and so forth. Accusations brought Israel to the ICJ. Now, what's incredible is that whenever Israel refuted anything, you had to show proof. But whatever Hamas said didn't need proof, didn't need validation. And I'll get back to that in just a second. But here's the crazy thing. About a year ago, Hamas revised the numbers and said, they're not quite what we said they were. They were less. And the majority of them were, or almost half of them were, terrorists. Ooh, wait a second. That changes the numbers. Because when you accuse someone of genocide, what does it mean? It's a systemic eradication of a people. Systemic eradication of a people. In war, there are casualties. We've seen it in numerous wars where the numbers have been 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1 of innocent casualties to combatants. So if we now take Hamas's word, that half of the people were killed were militants, soldiers, terrorists, assholes, call them whatever you want. If we take those numbers, that means about 30,000 were killed. That means the ratio was 1-to-1. There's no genocide. But conveniently, the media, entertainers, politicians, you name it, decided that it's not relevant fact. Just pointing the finger at Israel and calling them a genocidal state is just good enough. And if for that one reason alone, numerous Jews around the world have been assaulted, in a violent way, in ways that is unimaginable. Nothing to do with Israel. Jews are living in Canada, the UK, the United States, France, Belgium, Spain. Doesn't matter. But because Jews are tied into Israel now, whatever Israel does, Jews are blamed, and therefore we are genocidal. We're warmongers. Even though 5 minutes ago you took Hamas's word as fact. But the moment the narrative changed, the moment you realize that they were wrong, silence. Israel's still genocidal. And you're happy to show those red hands, the red hands of blood of terrorists who threw homosexuals off of a roof, proudly killing people. You think that that's a symbol of freedom. Wearing a kafir around your neck, that's a symbol of freedom, of the rebellion. But all you've done was promote more anti-Semitism in the world. Doctors Without Borders accused Israel of many different things, falsely, never proving it. But because it's Doctors Without Borders, inevitably you had to admit that they were right. And whatever they said about Israel, that Israel was attacking innocent people, not providing medicine, whatever, even though it was false and proven wrong, it didn't matter. Well, lo and behold, 2 weeks ago, approximately, Doctors Without Borders admitted that hospitals were filled with gunmen, arms, and they could no longer be present in these hospitals due to danger to themselves. It took over almost 900 days for them to admit what Israel has been saying since the first days of the war. But it's silent again because it defeats the narrative that Jews want genocide. So now that the war with Gaza is kind of like in a really weird situation, and there's a board of peace, so to speak, and Israel is even part of that board of peace. And interestingly enough, her enemies are there. Turkey, Pakistan, Qatar, these terrorist supporting states are on this board of peace. Israel's willing to give a chance. But Israel is a genocidal, warmongering state. Jews only want to kill. That's all you hear. It's vile. So as the ebb and flow of that occurs, the interesting thing now is, so what can we blame Jews for now? Well, lo and behold, as Elika Laban said so perfectly, Jews seem to be the center of the universe, the sun in which anti-Semites revolve around. And what are we accusing Israel or Jews of now? Wanting war with Iran. Like, unbelievable. The accusers are now switching the narrative from Jews wanting to kill Palestinians to Jews wanting to kill Iranians, wanting a war. It's Israel's war. Hold on a second. Let's get something straight here, people. Is it Israel declaring war on Iran? Or was it Donald Trump in the United States who said, if you continue to kill the tens of thousands of Iranians, we're coming after you? And what was Iran's response? If the United States attacks Iran, Iran attacks Israel. But that's ignored. Because Israel's preparing itself for war. Israel's preparing itself to defend herself. And it's Israel who wants the war. These wonderful Muslim and anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic assholes who are all there accusing Israel, they're now saying, aha, the new cause. Iran's war. Now Jews want to be genocidal in Iran. Now Jews want war with Iran. No. That is what the hate has brought upon us. Where does it really come from? Why? Look, this is centuries old. This is not new. Jews have been blamed for centuries, whether it's the Black Plague, whether it's issues in Russia. Whenever there's an economic downturn, Jews have been blamed. Whenever there's COVID is being blamed. Jews. If you look at all the conspiracy theories, if you look at all of the times in history when things went bad, the finger was pointed at the Jew. And inevitably, this led to mass murders, pogroms, absolute disasters, to the point where we saw what happened between 1939 and 1945, which the Holocaust deniers are saying never happened. 6 million Jews were never killed. The 0.02% that makes up the world population seems to be responsible for a lot of things. We control the media, we control Hollywood, we control the banks, and so on and so forth. These narratives that have been around for centuries. The Louis Farrakhan's of this world who pushed these narratives to the Black communities and other communities, and without fact checking them, without checking into the validity behind these accusations, have continued to be spewed. You have athletes who have podcasts who have accused Israel and Jews of controlling things in way it's like centuries old accusations that have been false. So in order to make your argument valid, we got to tie you into another thing. And that is the war with Iran, the possible war with Iran. Now, it doesn't really matter to the people who are accusing Israel or Jews that Iranians are being slaughtered for wanting freedom. For 47 years, they've been under this oppressive Muslim regime who have forced Iranians into absolute terror. Multiple generations have been beaten, slaughtered over not wearing a hijab properly, not keeping Islam properly, all kinds of accusations. And the propaganda fed to their heads is off the charts. But who cares about facts when we can blame Jews? And that is what is happening from Israel's accusers. Israel wants a war with Iran, just like they did with the United States last year. Sure. Israel would love to see this regime eliminated. This is a regime that has sponsored, terrorism to Hezbollah, to Hamas, to the Houthis, who've attacked Israel nonstop for generations, and in the last 2 years plus had to be eliminated because of the ongoing threat and the killing and the ongoing firing down of missiles. It's unbelievable what has had to happen. But it's the Jews at fault, not the Iranians. The Iranians have been paying for their proxies to do their dirty work. And you know what? It's time to cut the head of the snake off. And Israel does want to get rid of this regime so that they can have peace in the Middle East. But instead, Israel's being accused of what? Instability. Israel's being accused, and Jews around the world, of making the Middle East unstable. Have you been fucking awake lately? There hasn't been stability in the Middle East for many decades, for centuries. And now you think, oh, now it's Israel's fault? Let me tell you something. The United Arab Emirates, Morocco, Bahrain, South Sudan, all figured it out. Israel's the right ally, not the wrong ally, not the enemy of the Middle East. It's the people who want to destabilize Iran, Turkey, Pakistan, though Qatar. These regimes want to destabilize the Middle East for their benefit, for their power-hungry regimes. But you don't want to look into that because Jews, no news. No Jews can't blame. We need to blame Jews. So let's figure this out. And thanks to you, everyday innocent people are being beaten, are being harassed, are being marginalized. You hear a story of an apartment owner in France who was demanding a mezuzah being removed. We hear in Egypt, in Belgium, that kosher slaughter was outlawed, and now they're going after circumcision. We hear in Spain the vile remarks made by the Prime Minister of Spain and the hate that's being spewed towards Jews in Spain, of ironically what happened 700 years ago, 600 years ago, when we were expelled, and the Inquisition has no bearing. And then you have assholes like Tucker Carlson who go around and go to Israel to try to defame her, to try to marginalize her. And he asks, Ambassador Huckabee, who is the U.S. ambassador to Israel, are these Jews the real Jews of the Bible? They're probably not. Like, Tucker's trying to really twist the words so that you can think that no, Jews have to be guilty. He accuses Jews for such a long time, him and his bitch friend Candace Owens, who they blame Jews for everything. And Mike Huckabee had to say, very simply put, they speak the same language, they keep the same traditions, they honor the Bible. These are the Jews of the Bible. We are the descendants. And the accusation is beyond disgusting. Once again, Jews are to be blamed. It doesn't matter. And when you go to Piers Morgan's shows and you go to CNN shows and you go to all these other shows and you see when they bring around the haters, how many people are on that panel really arguing the other side? Here in Canada, CBC has no interest in providing a balanced reporting. It's anything to do with anti-Israel, anti-Jewish. That works perfectly. I was interviewed on Radio-Canada in French and CBC. She tried to trip me. Not the other side, me, because I'm a Jew. It can't be that my life is being threatened. It can't be that my synagogue has been firebombed twice. It can't be that Jews can't live in peace in Canada. It can't be. But it can be that we are accused and blamed for all that is wrong in society. Zoran Mamdani has blamed us. You've got Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. All these people are getting platforms to blame Jews for all that is wrong in the world. And where is the other side to argue it? Where are you to stand up for the truth? Demand the truth. We thought we're an advanced society here in the West. We are so fucking arrogant to believe that we are advanced culturally, educationally, mindset. But we're no different than the time of the Tsar. When the Tsar said Jews are to be blamed, the pogrom would go out and beat the shit out of Jews and burn villages. You think it's any different today? It's not. It's not. Not when you have campuses continue to push anti-Semitism. Not when you have businesses continue to marginalize Jews. Not when you have politicians who overtly are anti-Semitic and are campaigning on this. When will you wake up? If you're Jewish and you think that this doesn't affect you, wake up, because they're coming after you next. Hitler didn't need DNA, and I got news for you. Neither will these haters. And if you're not Jewish, you got to stand up for what's right. The Persian community, the Iranian community, and the Jewish community have been standing arm in arm since October the 7th, because the Iranians who've left Iran know exactly what this oppression means. And you've invited it to your living rooms, you've invited it to your communities, you've invited it to your countries, and you are sitting here going, well, we have to be nice. These poor people. But they are importing this radicalism, not all of them, but many of them are bringing in this radicalism with them, and you and your children are getting suckered in to believing these lies. That Hamas and global intifada is the right way to go. Hundreds of thousands of people have protested in places like England and Australia and in Belgium and in France, all cheering for a global intifada. Kill the Jew and kill you next. That is what they're calling for. So when they sucker you into believe that all that is wrong in the world is Jews and it's a Jewish fault, you're a bigger sucker. You're the one who's going to help perpetuate that hate. Until it's stopped, until you cut it out, until you demand from your media, your politicians, and everyone around you that we are treated equal, you're going to be next. Because it always starts with the Jew, and it goes then to you. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm David Solomon. Thanks for the Rant Network. I'll be back again on Friday.